Destruction for Jews and Muslims has to be removed.
There's a lot of miscommunication. There's a lot of confusion. There is intentional propaganda. We can see what's happening in Palestine. We can see all the lives, all the young lives that are intentionally murdered.
We've been heavily guarded by the Muslim armies. We had a beautiful economical life, spiritual life. There's no way to give up this land and to live together again under the wings of Islam.
The liberation will be televised.
Take two.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Sema Podcast. Now, anyone living in this day and age, if they're on social media or even if they're on main broadcast media, they'll be aware of what's going on right now in the Middle East, in Palestine. Now, there's a lot of miscommunication. There's a lot of confusion. There is intentional propaganda. But the truth is the truth, because it doesn't matter what religion you are, what ethnicity you are, or what creed you hold. It transcends all humanity. Now, as a Muslim, to me, my religion is everything. It does not transcend anything. But as we are humans, any time a life is lost, it transcends all of our small quarrels. Now, we can see what's happening in Palestine. We can see all the lives, all the young lives that are intentionally, to my opinion, aimed and intentionally ruined and murdered. This is my own opinion. Now, I'd like to welcome my guests. We have Rabbi Hannan Beck and his brethren, part of the Nutrai Carter, Rabbi Sofar. Welcome, guys. Now, the first part that we did with Rabbi Hannan Beck here was more about educating the masses, the first episode. And those who have not seen our first episode can go on our YouTube channel and they can watch the part one from there. But we got a lot of backlash at that time. There was a lot of comments denying Rabbi Beck's religion. And we're going to touch on that, denying that he was Palestinian, denying that he's even part of any community in North London, especially the Nutrai Carter, and taking Nutrai Carter's work away from them. Now, what I want to achieve in this podcast, we got the education, how to distinguish between Zionism and Judaism. And hopefully our viewers now have learned and can distinguish, between them. What I want to achieve from this episode is furthering the lesson that Rabbi Beck, you gave us. And we are thankful today that you brought your brother here, a fellow rabbi. And I also want to thank you in the beginning of the show, because usually I give my thanks at the end. I want to thank you in the beginning of the show, coming all the way to our studio here in Leicester, traveling hours to come here, both of you, and for you to spread the knowledge and spread the awareness. Because as Muslims, if a fellow Muslim is hurt, then the whole ummah is hurt. And you fighting and getting the word out for Palestinians, we feel like we are all one, and we are all one. Now, I want to start with Rabbi Sofar. Can you please tell us about yourself?
Yeah, I'm not a qualified rabbi. Okay. But I'm just a scholar student. I have a school for religious studies, for Talmudical studies. I sit and learn most of the day, all day almost. And I'm anti-Zionist activist. I used to be in Palestine, anti-Zionist activist for many years. I participated in a lot of demonstrations against which Zionism is here in Palestine have two agendas. One agenda is uprooting the Jewish religion, the original Jewish religion from the Jews, and planting a new religion, nationalist religion, means like distorting the Torah and bringing distorted sources, false sources to support their false agenda by changing Jews from Orthodox religious original Jews to nationalist Jews could be a little bit religious, but just the main thing is nationalist, yes. And another thing is using the Torah, yes, as a source, false source for their agenda of genocide, expulsion, destruction, stealing Palestine, expelling the original inhabitants of Palestine, that's the Palestinian Muslims. And for this you need to come to the world with a false Torah to say to the world, we have a Torah, and the Torah says that this land belongs to us, and the people, the Palestinian people, it's not their place. After they expelled them, they said there were never Palestinians here. They left on their own. They give every time they give a lot of excuses, which one excuse does not match the second one. There was never Palestinians. If they were, they ran away from themselves. They gave it back. That's not true. Palestine, historical Palestine, after we've been deported, but after the destruction of the Second Temple, God was ordered us to remain in exile, as a divine decree. We're supposed to live with peace with all the people which we belong to, which we live. A British Jew has to be loyal to Great Britain. By the way, I would like to thank to our British Kingdom that allow us to have freedom of religion, freedom of expression. Thank you, Your Majesty, King Charles. God should give him long life for him and his government. Now, Palestine, historical Palestine, after we get out to exile, there is Palestinian people there for more than 1,500 years at least, if not more. Palestinians lived there for thousands of years. That's a fact. And now the land belongs to them. We're not allowed to come to kick them out of the land because it's not belongs to us anymore, unfortunately. Why it doesn't belong to us? Because we have sinned. God have expelled us from this land, and now it belongs to the Palestinians. Coming back without permission of God to Palestine, it's a severe sin. It's called in Arabic khata. You're not allowed to do it, and especially I would like to start to speak about the beautiful relations that we had with the Muslims, with our Muslim brothers during the history. I'm trying to show that a Jewish religion is the Jews here loyal to its original religion, original Torah, and that's what the Zionists are trying to distort. They have two goals: changing the Jews from Orthodox Jews that were loyal to God and to the Torah to nationalist, cheap people who step on the head of other people, stealing the land which does not belong to them, and also changing the religious Jews to become nationalists.
Okay, Rabbi, sorry. Let's slow it down a little bit, yeah? Now, I'm going to get to my good friend here, Rabbi Beck, but you've said a lot of things. And what I am hearing in my head, I understand because we're together on this. But after we had the first podcast out, a lot of people were denying who you are. So what I want is for you to talk about your background more into detail, who you are, what is your family, where was you born, things of that nature. And we spoke earlier before we started filming that you speak Arabic, and I want you to talk about your background and what gives you authority to even speak on this matter.
Well, simply, my parents coming from Iraq. My father was serving in the Iraqi army. My parents were happy Jewish Iraqi citizens, just like as another 120,000 Iraqi Jewish citizens in Iraq. That's not a fresh news. The Jews by the Arab countries from Morocco till Pakistan, till Afghanistan, from both sides were very happy citizens. Normally, there was no problems. The Jews were preferred living by the Arab countries because of various reasons. From the Caliphate, we'll start the whole way back, yes? From the Caliphate, the third Caliph that we know that it was the second Caliph was Ali Omar bin Khattab. His soul should be rest in heaven. He was a righthood king that gave us religious rights, economical rights, and respected us very, very strongly.
Sofar.
Yes, when the Muslims empire has been spread and took over Iraq, the Jews in Iraq came to him with a whole march, with the whole parade, and he received them with a great respect. And he asked them, "What is your needs? The religious needs?" He restored the Resh Galusa. Resh Galusa, it's a so-called Jewish kingdom, like a religious and economical how you call it? It's called in English. It's like a colony. What was within the Muslim kingdom that he gave us the right to run our religious life without any disturbances. Yes. We had the right to judge our own religious disputes, between Jews. The Muslim did not interfere. We paid taxes. We paid the jizya, which is the jizya, and then we had the right to be protected by the Muslim army. And the Reish Galusia was like a small king. He had like autonomous zone, like we had an autonomy within the Muslim empire. They gave us the autonomy to keep our religion, our economical rights, and they were very happy. The Reish Galusia, this Jewish king that we had, used to come every day, visiting the Khalif Omar. He used to kiss his hand. He used to give him a report what goes on in the Jewish community, and everyone was happy. We've been protected, and that's the history in Babel, in Babylon, in Iraq. Yes. Was continued for 1,300 years, and that was such a good history. Normally, we never suffered from problems from our neighbors. We've been protected by the Muslim police army, and the judicial court system. We've been protected, and we had such a good time. We'll go like all our rabbis, yes, what coming from Iraq are writing about it, yes. That in Babylon, in Iraq, God gave for the Muslim this country, the control of this country, instead of the Sasanian Persian kingdom that didn't allow us to practice, unfortunately, our religion in order that the Jews will remain Jews. It was a present from God for us that we practiced our religions without any disturbances. I can give you a few examples. Our books, holy books, which we printed and all over the Arab places, they didn't have there was no censorship. But the Muslims, they didn't have controlled what we write in. They knew that the Jewish religion is different from the Muslim religions, but they tolerated us as long as we paid the taxes and we were loyal to the kingdom. They never checked what we write in our books. The Jewish literature was expanding, was flourishing, and was amazing. Under the Muslims, there was a lot of European rabbis that couldn't print their books under the European countries because of a strict censorship, and they sent them in Arab countries, in Turkey and in Iraq, to print their books, because over there was no censorship. Yeah. Blind libel, there was not in the Arab countries. The only time that was a blind libel by the Arab countries was about 185 years ago in Syria. But who promoted it? It was the French ambassador, the one who initiated it, and the Syrian Muslims didn't believe in it. Up till today. Now, I'll go back to myself. My parents, they lived in Baghdad.
Baghdad, yes.
In Baghdad, yes, the main capital, yes, which, by the way, the Muslim Caliphate have established Baghdad, they established Kufa, and established Cairo as their main capital cities. And there, the Jews, they had tens of thousands of Jews lived there with happiness.
Was this under Salahuddin Ayyubi?
Yeah. Salahuddin al-Ayyubi, we have to remind him for good that when the first crusade was the successful first crusade to capture Palestine from the Muslims, by the second crusade already, Salahuddin al-Ayyubi, with his successor, Khalif Nur-ad-Din, the Kurdish Caliphate, it's called the Kurdish Caliphate. They're the one who replaced the Fatimid Caliphate in Egypt. They're the ones, so they conquered Nur-ad-Din conquered part of Palestine, but then Salahuddin al-Ayyubi released all Palestine, and then came the second crusade. It was a failure. They was not able to release Palestine from the Muslims. The third crusade also came, and also they had the success only in Acre. They made a deal that the Palestine remained under Muslim jurisdiction with religious rights for the Christians. But we, the Jews, we didn't have any rights to be, since the first crusade. There was not one Jew was able to live in Palestine. But when Salahuddin al-Ayyubi took over Palestine, he invited all the Jews, come back to Palestine. They can live and visit and build synagogues and live the way they practice their religion. And that was thankful for his personal doctor, the Maimonides, which was one of our biggest rabbis. He took him for his personal advisor. Salah ad-Din al-Ayyubi took him as a personal advisor and a personal doctor. And he was asking him to do favors for the Jews. And by us, Salah ad-Din al-Ayyubi will remain as a righthood king that did a lot of favors for us. That's what we remember for good.
Okay.
So we go. Let's go. My parents lived with such. My mother I told my mother, is there was any problems with the Muslims the way we're facing in Palestine? I said, what are you talking about? The owner of our house used to take my mother. She was a child at that time. She was not that old. They take with the wagon, with the horse, the whole family. He took them to Najaf and Karbala. Najaf and Karbala, it's an important religious sites for the Shiite religion.
Yes.
Because most of the Iraqis are Shiites, not Sunnis. About 70%, only 20% are Sunnis, I think. And he used to take them for a tour. He used to take them to the Euphrates River, when they left Baghdad, when they left Iraq, after being subjected to, and that's a news that the Zionist doesn't like to hear. The Zionists forced all Arab Jews leave Iraq, Yemen, Morocco, Algeria, and Libya by conducting terror attack secretly against the Jews, blowing up their synagogues, their restaurants, their Jewish education center, and put the blame on the Muslims by showing to the Jews, you see, the Muslim doesn't like you here anymore. Leave, please, for Palestine, because that was their economy. They needed to have soldiers.
This was the propaganda.
What?
This was the propaganda.
Yes, but now everyone is admit that it was not the Muslims.
Yes.
At the contrary, the Muslim governments, they were trying to find out who is there. In Iraq, they found few guys that did it. And I think they one of them, I think they hanged them they hanged him because they found him, because he's the one who was one of the commanders was responsible to blow up these synagogues and all these religious Jewish sites in order to put fear, and the Jews should be scared to believe, the Muslim would like to kill us all. Let's run away. And they ran away from Iraq, unfortunately, with not any property. They left all their property there. I met with an old Iraqi woman in the underground. She was talking to me, and she told me, do you know that all the Jewish property has still been sealed? We don't want to touch it. It's belonged to the Jews.
Yes, they've been preserved.
They don't want to be thieved. They don't want to take something which does not belong to them.
Okay, Rabbi, let me just summarize. And I thank you. Often in this day and age, there's this saying that the young will inherit the earth. And whenever, I don't know where the saying comes from, but whenever they want to install mass confusion, they target the younger generation of any society. Now, the younger generation, what I find, I'm still part of it, alhamdulillah, but what I find that there is miscommunication. And when you talk about history, that's a couple of thousands years old or a couple of hundreds years old, there's a lack of comprehension because someone doesn't know a timeline or hasn't gone and done further reading. So let me just summarize a bit of what you were saying.
Please.
You first touched on the different dynasties that existed in that region. And then you went on and speak about the Khalifas and the head of these dynasties who were Muslims and how well they lived with the Jews who were in that area that they colonized at those times, right? That's correct?
Yes.
And then you spoke about our third Khalifa, Umar bin Khattab, how he looked after the Jews and he allowed the Jews to live peacefully as brother to one another, to hold your religion and to continue to practice. Now, just to put this in perspective, when the Crusaders went to Spain or went to Bethlehem and Jerusalem, they didn't allow this. Wherever they took over, they didn't allow anyone who was against their ideologies to even survive. Let
me correct you. When the Crusaders conquered Jerusalem after 5 weeks of siege, by the first crusade, they went to the mosque Al-Aqsa,
yes,
and they they killed all the Muslims, and there was a river of the blood came out from the mosque. Then they went to the Jewish synagogue. They took all the Jews, pushed them into the synagogue, and burnt them alive completely. Not that they didn't allow them to practice religion. They didn't allow them to live.
They didn't allow them to live at all.
I'd like to correct you.
Yes, and this was the comparable. right? So if you look at comparable,
I would like to just tell you one thing. Unfortunately, there's a big procedure. The Zionists trying to demonize the Muslims in order to show for all the Jews that there's no way to give up this land and to live together again under the wings of Islam.
yes,
We, the Jews in the Torah Carta, why they consider us not Jews? Because we're trying to tell them, let's follow what was wrong, live with the Muslims, living under Muslim jurisdiction for 1,300 years. What was so wrong? We printed our books, we lived so peacefully, we've been heavily guarded by the Muslim armies, we had a beautiful economical life, spiritual life, we had all our religious rights. They never touched us. They didn't try even to change our religion. They were so good to us. What was switched? Why do we have to demonize them, to make them they're worse than the devil, in order that we should use bombs and bombing them and killing them, expelling them, and that's the only solution? That's what they're trying to sell to the Jews today. That there's no way the Muslims today, they hate Jews. They don't tolerate Judaism, which is a lie. It's a vicious lie. They demonize the Muslims as a vicious people. It's a lie. An ordinary Muslim people is a peaceful person who just like to pray to God. He wants to just teach his children according to his religion. He brings bread and water to his children and nothing more than that. They suddenly portray the Muslim as a bloodthirsty people. I can show you many cases that the Muslims were good to us up to the Second World War. But the Second World War in Algeria, in Libya, and in Morocco, the governments there did not, and those countries were occupied by the Nazi regime for 2 years. Till they were pushed away by the American,
Yes.
They didn't help. In Europe, almost every government helped the Germans, push the Jews to ghettos, and from the ghettos they pushed them to into wagons, into trains, and they sent them to concentration camps, to death camps. And now, in these 2 years, the Nazis controlled North Africa. These Arab regimes in Africa, they had the right to keep their local regimes. They could have cooperated with the Nazis and sent all the hundreds of thousands of Jews that lived in North Africa to the concentration camps in Europe, and that didn't happen. Why? Because they didn't want to cooperate with them. The King Muhammad V, in Morocco, he told the Nazis, "I'm not going to cooperate with you. I'm not going to allow the expelling my people to the death camps." And the Germans didn't have any choice, and they agreed to that. Iran, the Shah, Muhammad Reza Pahlavi, the father of the last Shah, he told Hitler, was asking him if there's any way how to change the status of the more than 150,000 Iranian Jews at that time lived before the state of Israel was established. If there's any way how to talk to push the Jews into ghettos, deny them all the rights, no political rights, no religious rights, no economical rights, the same as they did in Poland and all the other places. Reza Pahlavi said, "No way, my Jewish citizens are equal. They have the equal rights, and I'm not going to allow them to be touched." And that's happened in Iran. Let's go to Albania. Albania is a small Muslim country, as everyone knows. No one Jew in Albania was killed. It was occupied by Germany. Why they were not sent to the concentration camps? You know why? You know what the Muslim did to the Jews?
Tell us.
They slaughtered them? No. They pushed them to concentration camps? No. They pushed them into mosques. They were hiding them.
Subhanallah.
They were hiding them in mosques, in their religious. Muslims. They were hiding them in mosques. They were hiding them in basements, and they provided them bread with water till the Nazi Germany was vanished, was destroyed.
So let me just clarify what you're saying.
I'm not finished, but if I will bring you examples how would Muslims live with Jews and they protected them, I have to sit with you the whole night of here.
Yes, and I wish we can.
And it's impossible.
Let's just clarify.
But I just trying to say that Zionists are trying to rewrite the history, demonize the Muslims, trying to show that the Muslims are monsters, that there's no way how to cooperate with them. Even though that now in Morocco there is 12,000 Jews, in Iran there is 35,000 Jews. They produce their wine. It's a strict religious Muslim country. The Ayatollah Khomeini gave them what's the verdict here, fatwa, that they're allowed to produce the wine for local needs, not to give it to Muslims. They're allowed to practice their religion. They're very beloved in Iran. They're being heavily guarded by the police. The people in Iran that doesn't touch them. Now, not 200 years ago, not 500 years ago, not in the time of Khalif Ali Omar ibn Khattab, not in the time of Khalif Osman, not in the time of Khalif Ali ibn Abu Talib. No, now. We're talking about now.
Yes.
We're talking about we have in Morocco. The King Muhammad VI gives them full rights. He loves them. One of his advisors is a Jew.
Yeah.
Is a Jew? Yeah. So let's please stop rewrite the history. Stop demonize the Muslims. We can live together if we're only going to give up of this state who conducts atrocities, stealing and killing without any justice against the Torah. If we can come back to live with them, we can establish a Muslim kingdom in Palestine, living under their jurisdiction, under their wings. And we can live together with all full rights. They're going to forgive us about what happened, this bad 100 years that we had together under what? Under this Zionist brutal regime who behave like they behave like the Nazis. I don't know what to say that they're Nazis, but they're not better. The way they behave, bombarding hospitals, killing killing families, wiping out the whole buildings without even check who is there, killing babies, preventing them from receiving medicines for millions of Palestinians, killing them, depriving them from food, water, medicines, and any telephone services. The cases which I hear that makes me crazy. Makes me laugh. And if someone will tell me I'm not a Jew, okay, yes, I'm not that type of Jew that dictate killing innocent Muslims and stepping on their head and stealing their land. Yes, if that's Judaism, I'm not that. I'll tell you what is Judaism. Judaism is what it's written in our Shulchan Aruch, is the daily book, which the daily Jewish law book. It's written there that we have to visit non-Jews when they're sick in the hospital. When they die, we have to bury them to give them respected burial, and we go to give condolences to their families, which are mourning and crying over their people that cried. And here, that's Judaism. Judaism means that according to what our Jewish rabbis used to say hello for every non-Jew before he used to say good morning. That's Judaism. Judaism is meant mercy. We know we live together in the old city. Everywhere, my mother used to tell that all neighbors to come to borrow things, to get things, bread, food, milk, anything, and they were the whole way back and forth, like brothers, like families. That's beautiful Judaism. Judaism was dropping 30,000 tons of bombs, of smart precision guided bombs, which is the equivalent of two nuclear bombs on Gaza, and kill them indiscriminately. That's not Judaism. That's fascism, and I'm not interested in part of such a Judaism. This honorable Rabbi Beck his grandfather. His grandfather, he was called Rabbi Sholem Eisenbach. His family went through 7 generations in Palestine. And now, because he's anti-Zionist, he refused to be part of this rebellion against the Muslims. He refused to be part of this rebellion against God. Then he's not a Jew. Of course he's not a Jew, because you have to rewrite the religion. You have to be a nationalist Jew, to be brutal, to kill innocent people. Then maybe we receive this honor medal to be considered a Jew. Yeah. But so far, Mr. Beck, I'm sorry. You have to go to kill 1,000 Muslims. Maybe we consider you a Jew.
And this is the confusion, right? So I feel like, personally, we need to change the language that we use, right? Not yourselves, but in media, we have to change the language that we use. We need to change the perspective. So when we have these conversations, what's going on in Palestine, what's going on in the Middle East, the war, the genocide that's happening in the Middle East, we need to stop talking about the religion. We need to stop saying that it's Jews against Muslims. Because if I were to bring Rabbi Hannan Beck here, whenever we talk about Jews and Islam, we paint this picture that this is a religious war, that 2 religions are fighting amongst each other, and everyone else who's witnessing, anyone who is secular or who is not practicing a religion in Europe, in the Western world, that is something that they don't know too much about. So they say, you know what, we don't know too much about it, so we're not going to make a comment and we're not going to pick a side. Now, you are here saying that during the Second World War, Muslims were protecting the Jews from the Nazis.
That's a fact.
That is a fact. Let me finish. Now, this in itself, a statement from an Orthodox Jew, proves that this is not a religious conflict. I want to bring Rabbi Beck here. Do you think the language is important to change when we are to talk about this, when we're having this conversation, this discourse, that we're not making it a religious problem, that we're making it more a problem of economy or a problem of occupation? Because you was born in Palestine.
Yeah, well, look, this is just, we have to look for the two facts, that's all. We don't have to, if somebody sells something that's not true, you have to work for that very hard. We say just a very, very simple thing. Like Rabbi Sofar said, I don't know why he forgot to say that his father and mother himself has been saved by Muslim people from the Nazis. I will come back to yes.
I'd like to cut him off for a second. I'm sorry, Rabbi Beck.
Bismillah.
But in Iraq, in the Second World War in 1941, my mother told me it was called the Farhud. It was a massacre that was conducted by some elements inside the Iraqi army, which was cooperating with the German ambassador, which he had an Arabic radio station, and he was inciting and talking against Jews that we have to finish them off. So those elements among the Iraqi army that was cooperating with the Nazis decided one time to go and to kill the Jews. How many Jews were killed? 200 people. It's a large number, maybe, yes. So every Jew and every Muslim that will get killed, it's a whole world. However, how many Jews were saved in Baghdad at that time? Tens of thousands of Jews. I'm sitting here. We have to thank to the Muslim owner of the house that protected my mother with the whole family. There were 14 members of the family on the second floor. He was the landlord, and he was in the first floor, in the ground floor. So those soldiers came and they knocked on the door. He opened the door. What do you want? He was asking them. We'd like to get those Jews to kill them. He says, get lost. They're my children. I'm protecting them. So we're not going to do anything to you. Just let us go through. We're going to kill them all, and we're going like that. He said, on my dead body, you have to kill me first. This is my children. And you know how many cases were like that? Thousands of thousands. If only 200 was killed, yes, is to thank to we have to thank to good tens of thousands Iraqi citizens who lived in Baghdad, who protected their Jewish neighbors.
Yeah.
So I come back to the point. Just look this plain true fact. If you come with the truth and with plain facts, you don't have to speak 2 hours for that. 1 minute is enough. Open the eyes and look how people can say this religious conflict when today, like the Rabbi Sofar mentioned, today's day, after 75 years of killing, 75 years of occupation, still there are beautiful Jewish communities in Morocco, in Tunisia, Algeria, Turkey, Yemen, Iran. Just take this example. Who is the biggest enemy today of Israel? I think Iran. No, the biggest enemy. Yes, they are the biggest threat for Israel. Threat for Israel, yes. Give a look in Iran. In Iran, there's a beautiful Jewish community of 35,000 Jews.
Yes.
The Jewish people have their own a Jewish hospital. It's funded completely by the government. In the rate in Iran to get MP, it's 500,000. The Jews have only 35,000, and they have their own MP. My colleagues, a few rabbis, 5 rabbis, have visited Iran just for 3 weeks ago. The foreign minister invited them to a big conference there where they spoke. And by the way, when I mentioned that, just this week, beginning of this week, my colleagues rabbis, they visited Turkey by a big conference there. In the Met there, Ismail Haniyeh, he was by this conference, and he declared very clearly, by this conference this week, Sunday or Monday.
Yes.
I just spoke today with the rabbi. He told me he met the Ismail Haniyeh, he gave him a present, and Ismail Haniyeh declared, we have nothing against Jews. Jews are welcome in Palestine, as long as they haven't got aspirations to take over the land, if they want to leave as loyal citizens. However, let's come back to Iran.
Sorry, just to clarify, for those who don't know, who is Ismail Haniyeh?
Oh, Ismail Haniyeh is the Prime Minister of Hamas.
He's the Prime Minister of Hamas.
Of Hamas, yes.
And you saw him in Palestine, and he spoke to you, or What did he say again? Sorry.
He said just this week
Yes.
in Turkey.
Sorry.
He's now this week. He's in Turkey by a meeting. There was a large.
So this is what I find fascinating, because not to interrupt you, Rabbi, is that Nelson Mandela was in prison for 35 years, and he was considered a terrorist. When he was released, he became the president or the prime minister of South Africa. Hamas, by international bodies or whoever they are, they said that they're terrorists. Taliban was said that they were terrorists. Now they're an official government where they're doing international deals. The official government in Afghanistan. Now, if Hamas was terrorists, how did the head of the terrorist group end up in Turkey and have conversations and make deals and things of that nature? Now, one thing that everyone needs to think about, that I think about, is that if a bunch of militants enter the Royal Infirmary or the General Hospital here that we have in Leicester, would Rishi Sunak send a missile to bomb everyone in the hospital? If there was terrorists or militants that enter a bank, forget a hospital or school, if they enter a bank and say we're holding people hostages or we're hiding in the basement of the banks, would they send missiles to kill everyone in the bank as a form of procedure? Right? Now, to bring you back, Rabbi Sofar, why do you think the world allows Israel to bomb hospitals, to bomb schools, and they're bombing indiscriminately? The hospital that was bombed was a Christian hospital. It just shows they want nothing to do with religion. They just want to kill anyone in that land. Why do you think the world is allowing this to happen?
First of all, we have to go to the roots of the whole thing. The Zionists would have not done what they did now, these atrocities, this genocide, this expelling without permission of a large support which they have, unfortunately, in the West. I'm not going to defy the Western countries. I'm in exile. I'm not going to curse them out, but I think, unfortunately, that they're making a big mistake by supporting this Zionist entity, and they have a few reasons. Let's take, for example, in America. In America, there's two main large parties, the conservatives, the Republicans, and the Democrats. Let's start with the Republicans. We just heard in the news today that there's a large Christian group of military veterans which are coming to help the Zionist army to fight in Gaza. Why? What are you looking there? Is the Zionist army doesn't have enough terrorists and vicious soldiers to kill innocent Palestinians? They have enough ammunition. They get everything from America.
Yes.
Unfortunately, there's a large movements, various movements. It started with the Evangelists, which is about 30 million Christians. And there's a large groups from Catholics and unfortunately lately from Protestants who believe that the Jews has to be assembled, gathered in Palestine, and then the Christian would force them to change their religion or they're going to face death. So based on that, their belief, which they believe, yes, so they think that it's the greatest thing to help Jews to be gathered in Palestine and push away, kick out all the Palestinians. And that's why they helped them in 48. In 48, the American army, there was a lot of elements of the American army who gave airplanes, B-17, which was a magnificent airplanes, to bomb the Palestinians.
Yes.
There was a lot of weapons came from America secretly to help the Zionist army. They had about 90,000 soldiers. The Palestinians only had 4,000 soldiers. And I'd like to jump deeper into it. This Christian ideology to support the Zionism in order to convert them, yes, are one of the main factors by the conservative parties in the United States of America. And that's why they're working very hard within the Congress and the Senate to keep support the state of Israel and its atrocities and its genocide policy, because when they look at their religious cause that Palestine has to be cleaned out of Muslims, it has to be settled by Jews, Zionist Jews, and then the Christians will come and finish the job by changing their religion. Yes. That is from a perspective of a point of view of the religious Christians in America. But what about the other party, the Democratic Party? The Democratic Party have a different agenda at all. They're not religious. They supporting the Zionists. because the Zionist doctrine is not to believe in God. The Zionist prime minister doesn't believe in God. He doesn't believe in Torah.
Yes.
He speaks, sometimes he gets verses from the Torah about killing some people which are not believing, and he says that's the Arabs, which is a big lie.
Yes.
The Arabs believe in God.
Yeah.
They worship God. It's a modest people. They practicing a lot of, they brought a lot of good things to the world. And he says that these people has to be wiped out.
Yes.
Now, which is a lie. He doesn't have any right to speak behalf of the Torah. He's laughing of the Torah. He's laughing of God. And I hope that God eventually would laugh on him.
Yes.
Yes, and then destroy him also, because he's a very, very evil person. What he did for the Jews and for the Muslims, it's unbelievable. Lately, what he did in Gaza the last three months, it's just not to believe. But let's go back to the Democratic Party. The Democrat elements are supporting Israel because Israel is a secular country which have a modern Western liberal policies, and that's to have an Islamic regime in the West Bank, somewhere in Palestine, even in Gaza, it's a disturbance. They don't want to see it there.
So Israel is like an extension of USA.
It's a colony extension also, yes. And they have another few more policies is to weaken in the Arab world. When you have such colony of a modern liberal infidel kingdom like the state of Israel in middle of the Arab country, which have a solid, strong Muslim religion in between, it's dividing the Muslim world, it's weakening the Muslim world, and they're making sure that it's keep their eye and control in that area. And it's a mistake because according to the divine decree, Jews are supposed to remain in exile, and this rebellion against God will not succeed. And especially when this rebellion against God coming and stepping on the head of Muslims or Palestinians that opened the door for us. I have to remind that in 1492, when we Jews, 300,000 Jews were expelled from Spain because they was trying to change our religion. They told that if you can stay in Spain, but you have to become Christian. If not, just get out. We got out. Where did we go? A small minority went to Netherlands. Tens of thousands went to Turkey. The Sultan Salim opened his doors and they said, I'm very happy to receive my Jews. Come, you're going to receive your equal rights and religious rights.
Yes.
We always will remember for good. Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, and Libya opened their doors, including Iraq. 10,000 Jews came to Iraq from Spain. And last one, Palestine. The Palestinians opened their doors and they received us. Is that what we gave them back? We kicked them out of the country? We're first of all saying, thank you, good Muslims from Algeria to Pakistan, that you opened your doors. When we suffered from religious incitements, we suffered from so many pogroms, so many massacres. We ran away. We didn't have even shoes on our foot. And we accepted with open arms. Thank you very much. Thank you, Moroccan. Thank you, good Palestinians. And I'm sorry about what happened. Forgive us about this thing that I'm not saying we are me, but unfortunately the Zionists are used your good heart, you used your mercy that you opened the door for us, and we kicked you out of Palestine, a land which belongs to you. I hope that you all got all the Palestinian refugees that have been expelled with such a vicious way from 48, and today there are about 7 million, will come back there. They should receive their rights. And that's the way we have to fix, we have to bring back, to fix this sin that we did, that this Zionists did, by expelling them, give them their rights, give them back their country, and then we will ask, I'm sure that's going to happen like it's happened in South Africa, when the black received the jurisdiction, the rule over South Africa, they live together with the white, everything has been forgotten. Well, I know that we cannot compare what happened in South Africa. South Africa, it was not more than apartheid. It was a strict apartheid.
Yes.
They killed a lot of, but here it was massacred, it was expulsion, they expelled millions of Palestinians. Yes, but I believe still that the Palestinians are good people. They have a lot of mercy on us, and they would receive us as a full part of the Palestinian people and from the Palestinian nation, and we will be able to live with them just as we lived with them more than 1,400 years. It has been 75 bad years under the Zionists. We were trying to rewrite the history, demonize the Muslims, trying to forget about all the good ties and the good favors that we had for Muslims. I believe that we can wipe out all this bad history, these 75 years. We can get back to our good, traditional, beautiful relations to live together. But let's get back to what to the beginning, to your question, my friend.
Yes.
Unfortunately, the Western world are supporting the Zionists, yes, with their atrocities, because of the various reasons which I brought. It's a mistake. It's a terrible mistake, because the Muslims, and especially Palestinians, will never give up on their rights, on their historical rights, on their natural rights over Palestinians. The only way is to dismantle peacefully, peaceful dismantling of this state, giving back the land back to them. They're going to run it, and they're going to decide how many Jews. As my friend Rabbi Beck says, with a goodwill, we can compromise. They'll get back the refugees will get back to Palestine. They're going to have their jurisdiction. We can live back with them together under their wings.
Rabbi Hannan Beck. Now, from our first video, you got a lot of refutation. You were refuted. They were saying that you're not a real Jew. I know I've mentioned this already, but I want you to speak on why you have authority to speak about this matter, and then to answer to those who said you are not accepted in the consensus amongst Jews. So they're saying the Jews that are in America right now, the Jews that are in Israel right now, they do not they do not see Nutri Carter or your Orthodox Jewish people as being an authentic Jew. You're not recognized an authentic Jew. What do you have to say to these people?
Again, I come back to plain two facts. Firstly, in my area, everybody knows me. There are tens of thousands of Jewish people. And you can ask anybody, Rabbi Beck, everybody knows me. I'm a teacher in a few schools. I'm praying in all the synagogues around there. I'm accepted everywhere very nicely. So if they want to deny the sun in the middle of the day, fine, very good. That's all. But everybody can come in my area. They're invited and they can see. Now again, my family, as you mentioned it, I have a very large family. It's called Eisenbach family. Yeah. Yes, he mentioned it. My grandfather.
Let me stop for a second, my friend. I feel very bad. But I wish that all the Jews and the Zionist Jews that call him non-Jew should practice the Jewish religion a half of the high standard of religious way that he practiced. They would have been considered as an outstanding Orthodox Jews. Half of what he's practicing.
Half.
Not like in his level. No, half is enough.
Like an inch. Okay. It's funny. It's funny because those who are writing, and I can see in the comments, they're not living the Jewish way of life. I can see first just from the way they're dressed. Because I use an example. Imagine a Buddhist monk, and no offense for the example, but imagine a Buddhist monk who refrains from the worldly affairs, doesn't drink, doesn't smoke. He's in constant meditation. He's dressed a certain type of way. He doesn't wear modern clothing. And then someone who lives in the modern world, drinks, smokes, enjoys in all of the guilty pleasures, then says, I am the real Buddhist person. That monk is not Buddhist. We're refuting them. And this is the example that I can give to a layman. I'm not trying to compare Buddhism to your religion, but this is the layman example.
Yes, I want just to bring it out. Yes. I come from one point. Firstly, just look at the fact. Come in my area, you will see I'm very accepted there. I'm accepted. Rabbi Sofar is accepted there. I'm a teacher there. And I'm very famous in my area. I'm very activist in all the Jews. Everybody knows me very good. Not only in my area that knows me in Manchester, that knows me in many places even in the USA. However, I will come back to another point. I told you I will just tell you plain facts. I don't come in and...
Yes.
Now, I will come to the other fact. When I coming to say I coming on religious grounds, in very simple grounds, very simple. It's clear, written in the Torah, in the books of the prophets, in the Talmud, that we were exiled by God. And we are bezworen, this is written in the Talmud in Sofar, page 111, that God bezworen us with 3 oaths, not to rebel against the Almighty, not to rebel against the decree of exile, stay in exile, waiting patiently for Messiah.
Yes.
So who told for the Zionist people that the end of exile has came already? Who is the prophet who told them that?
Yes.
We are still in exile and we have no right to rebel against Almighty. Forgot at the moment for the Palestinians. Now we speak just pure Zionism. Yes. Judaism dictate believing in God, trusting God, even when you are in exile, even if it looks bad. Believing don't means when you see its light. When see its light is not believing, this is seeing.
Yeah.
Believing means when it looks dark, you have to believe in God. We Jews, believing in God. We have the full trust in God. When God sent us into exile, we not rebel against Him. We're staying in exile, waiting patiently for the coming of Messiah.
Yeah.
The Zionist, there has been the whole idea of Zionism has been built up by atheist people. Ted Herzl was an atheist. He coming from Vienna, he was the father of Zionism. He founded the whole idea of Zionism. He didn't make a circumcision for his own son, and he was proud of that. He was an atheist. The whole idea of Zionism coming from an atheist background, and the whole idea of Zionism is rebelling against God. God sent us to exile. No, rebel against them. Go out of exile. Organize yourself. If you will not do for yourself, nobody will help you. This means disloyalty to God, not to be loyal to God. So, just simple. Judaism is loyalty to God based on the grounds of the Torah. Zionism is based on don't believe in God.
Yes.
Mistrusting God. So how they can say that I'm not a Jew and they are Jew? Could it be like Rabbi Sofar say before, they form out a Jew on their own? A Jew means somebody what committed genocide. A Jew means somebody what non-believe in nothing, not in God and not in the Torah. Okay, a Jew like this, I'm not. No. I'm not a Jew like that. I'm a true Jew.
Yes.
I say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. That means we believe in one God, and we will never lost our trust in God. We will keep to God up to the last breath. That's what I say. Now I come to a third point. The third point is also very simple. What means that a Jew? Who is a Jew? In the Zionists say, me, who Yehudi. Who is a Jew? They say, of course, a Jew means if you're speaking the Ivrit, the Zionist language, you don't give money for the state, you go in army, and so on, then you are a Jew. No, it's completely not Judaism. Judaism is a religion, have got nothing to do with any nationality, even not with any race. Nothing. Judaism is a religion. Muslim people will understand me much better because the same thing I understand is in Islam. If somebody say, I'm a Muslim, you will ask him, you are a believer? No. And so you're not a Muslim. How you can say that? I'm already 20 generations Muslims.
Yes.
You are a believer or not? No, you are not a Muslim. The same thing if somebody convert to Islam, he is the same Muslim as you. So Islam is a religion. The same thing as Judaism is a religion. Now, who is considered as, when God gave us the Torah, yes, we created as a Jewish nation by the Mount Sinai. On the Mount Sinai, where God gave us the Torah? When he took us out the Jewish people from Egypt to the Holy Land. On the way, we stopped in the desert. In the Mount Sinai, God gave us the Torah there.
Yes.
Why didn't God wait till we come in the Holy Land, on the holiest place, and then gives us the Torah there? No. Our Rabbi said, God wants to show that Judaism have nothing to do with the land, have nothing to do with any nationality. Judaism is a religion in the desert, without a land, without nothing. There you were created as a Jewish nation. This is Judaism. If somebody convert to Judaism, he's the same Jew as me. If somebody don't believe in the 13 principles of Judaism, is clearly not a Jew. This is not I saying that. This is Maimonides. He was one of the biggest rabbis. He put the 13 principles of Judaism in Sanhedrin, and he said, the end. Anybody who believes in that, he is considered as a Jew. Anybody who don't believes in that, he is not considered as a Jew. I'm sorry for all the secular Jews. I didn't want to offend anybody. It's not my job. It's not my path. But when you want to consider what is a Jew, what is not a Jew, you have to look what is Judaism. Look at in the Torah. What the Torah considered as a Jew, not what people saying, not what the TV saying, and not what the social media you saying, I'm a Jew, I'm not a Jew, I have an Israeli flag, I'm speaking the Israeli language. This is all rubbish. Look in the Torah, what is a Jew, what is not considered as a Jew. Again, Judaism means people what following the Torah. Now, when you come in any area on the world, any area of the world, from Argentina, South Africa, Australia, Russia, Ukraine, Europe, America, Canada, everywhere, you will see observant people looks like me, ultra-Orthodox Jewish people, you won't find there an Israeli flag. For example, look in my area, in Stamford Hill, thousands of Jews living there. You won't see there a single Israeli flag. The same thing in the USA, the same thing in Canada, in Australia, in Argentina, everywhere where Jews live is the same thing. You won't see the Israeli flag. And I'll give you another example. Just go in a real Jewish neighborhood, not so-called Jews, but they're driving Shabbos and they eat pork and they eat not kosher. No. I'm speaking real Jews, observant Jews. Go in any local shop, any local bookshop.
Yes.
Buy a calendar.
Yes.
A simple calendar. There is about 20, 30 types of calendars, wall calendars, book calendars, yes. Just take out the calendar. I take out one. I show you an example.
This is the Jewish calendar, yeah?
This is the Jewish calendar. Go in any bookshop.
Yes.
Yes, but remember, I'm speaking in a area of Haredic Jews.
Yeah.
People looks like me. Go to the Hey-Ir. Hey-Ir is the Israeli Independence Day.
Yes.
Yes? Hey-Ir, here is it. There is no difference between this day and any other day. Even not mentioned that it is some holiday.
Yes.
No? Even not mentioned. Anywhere. You go in Australia, in a local bookshop, a Jewish bookshop, I speak in the area where people like me, you will see in the calendar no mention of Yom Ha'atzmaut. That means the Israeli Independence Day. Nothing.
Doesn't exist.
No. And on the contrary, that in many synagogues, we come together on this day, we fasting. And I give you another, just finishing with that, and this point, the largest Jewish community in all areas of the world, like in my community, let's say in Stamford Hill in London, yes? There are tens of thousands of Jewish people. I can say the much more than that, 70% of them, it's Satmar. They call themselves Satmar. This is Satmar. There is mixed up many communities, but Satmar is the biggest community all over the world, wherever you go. So even in Argentina, in Brazil, anywhere, in Vienna, in Austria, in Belgium, Satmar is the largest community.
Yes.
In it, Satmar very strongly opposing the state of Israel. They're waiting for the dismantlement of the state of Israel. Of course, we're praying for a peaceful dismantlement. Nobody looks for bloodshed. However, in Satmar, they are calling for dismantling the state of Israel. They are not agreeing with everything of Neturei Karta. We're going out on demonstrations. They fight Zionism in other ways. But we are in the same view against the state of Israel.
Yes.
100%. Satmar very strongly against the state of Israel.
You know Sorry, carry on.
Just as I said, I'm finishing with that. I sum up the words. I told you just a few plain facts. Firstly, nobody can deny I'm very famous in my community. I'm a teacher in a few schools. I'm praying in all the synagogues. I accepted everywhere. Nobody can deny that. Okay, who wants to deny that I told you the sun in the middle of the day?
Yeah.
Right. He's welcome. The second thing, what I'm bringing out is the main thing what I want to bring out, that if you want to know what is Judaism, what means who is considered as a Jew, then you will understand who is the Jew and who is not. And that's all what I can say. And it's very plain. And that also the other thing what I told you, I coming with very simple grounds, religious grounds and plain facts. And the other people just say what they want, okay? I mean, I don't go to argue with anybody.
You know, after doing the first episode with you, one thing that I realized that, and I was telling many of my friends who spoke to me after the episode, I realized that what's going on in Palestine now hurts you more than us as Muslims who are not Palestinians.
Because it's in my name.
Yes.
The genocide is done in my name.
And you are Palestinian.
Yes.
Your family's there for generations.
Yes.
So you are Palestinian. And when before I met you and having the lack of knowledge, I always thought the Jewish people are not with us, so we have to fight and march for our Palestinian brothers and sisters. But after speaking with you for that episode, I realized that it affects you more than anyone else who is not a Palestinian. It hurts you more, and this has been your life's work, fighting for the liberation of Palestinians, the dismantlement of the state of Israel. Not a two-state solution, but it has to be dismantled. Now, I want to ask Rabbi Sofar the same question that I asked you in the first episode. If there was a young Zionist man standing in front of you, a young man who may be confused and who's trying to seek knowledge and trying to find the truth, a young man watching right now, what would you advise them? What would you tell them? What if they told you, Rabbi, you are confused. You are not really Jewish. You are from a cult. Now, what I want, Rabbi Sofar, I want you to look at the camera, which is in front of you. And what would you say to this young man? What would be your response?
It's not only that what I would have said, that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Many people are coming and talking to me, calling me, why do I give support for Palestine? And then I tell them, let's sit down for a few minutes and I can dislodge your false belief in what you think that it's right. I show them, first of all, that we're in exile. I show them, second of all, that we're not allowed to revolt and against the Palestinians. Third, I show them that all the history, the false history they received from the Zionists, it's false. So that our Muslim neighbors been demonized. I tell them, how can you ignore the beautiful facts which I brought from the Second World War, hundreds of years ago? I tell them just a small story. There was a guy, a Jew. We have one of our holidays is to use certain fruits, which are very expensive for the religious purposes. It's called esrog. Esrog is like a fruit which we need for the religious service in the beginning of the year.
Yes.
120 years ago, there was a Jew, a rabbi, which was trying to get these fruits. Jews didn't grow them. Who was growing them?
Yes.
Arabs, Palestinians.
Yes.
How did he go there? He writes in his book, I went to al-Fahm. al-Fahm, it's in north of Palestine, not far away from Haifa. There's a big village there. Most of the Palestinians, they've been expelled, but
Yes.
now they grew, and alhamdulillah, it's a big city. And he says, I went there because there was a lot of esrog fruits, and it was very late at night. Now, what did he do? Is there any Zionist which would dare to go to sleep in Arab city today? No, because first of all, he thinks that the Muslim they're going to slaughter him. He himself, he's keeping in war in them. He's killing their children, their grandchildren. He killed their old people there. So he doesn't believe that he can go to sleep by them and ask him nicely. So this rabbi was knocking on the door and he was asking, can I pay for a sleeping place? Of course. The Palestinian opened the door. You're welcome. He gave them room. That's your room. It's cost 10 pounds. So gave him a price and he slept. He wrote it like, by the way, like, when I was trying to bring this as a proof how beautiful is our relations with Muslims, I got this part that doesn't, you see?
Yes.
You see, a guy, he didn't write the book in order to show how beautiful the relations between Muslims and Jews were. Yeah. He just wrote down, I went to look for fruit. Yeah, it was very late at night. I couldn't work. I couldn't go to buy it. It was very late. The farmers went to sleep. So I went to rent a room. Where did he rent the room? In West Jerusalem under the Zionists? It will be talking about 120 years ago.
Yes.
50 years before the Zionist occupation of Palestine.
Yes.
He said, I just went, I rented a room and I slept. You know how many cases were like that? I remind you another thing. I tell them, rabbis, by my friends, in 1912, there was a disaster. We have a certain pilgrim, a religious service that we have a big rabbi that was passed away about 1900 years ago. And once a year, there's tens of thousands of Jews go there to pray there, yes, in his grave. He had a huge building on his grave. And many people were standing on the roof at that time, and they lit not a candle, a big fire. We lit in honor of this rabbi. That's part of our religion.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, part of there was a lot of pressure on the roof, and part of the roof was collapsed, and people fell into the garden, to the front garden of the building. So there was the government. It was called Hussein Effendi. It was the governor of the Upper Galilee, of north of Palestine. He was a Turkish, a Muslim. The first thing he did is he ordered the soldiers to block the entrance to the building in order people should not run inside and step on the people that were wounded, of the hundreds of people that were wounded.
Yes.
Second, he went from his own cost. He said all Arabs that have wagons with horses will come here. I'm going to pay them. There was no hospital at that time. There was no NHS. There was no ambulance services. He paid from his own pocket, paid for private ambulances, means a wagon with horses.
At that time, yes.
He called doctors to give a first aid for the wounded people, which was tens of them, and he saved their lives. And then he told the Arab wagons with horses, take all the wounded to the hospital in Sofar. Sofar is like about 20 miles away.
Yes.
He saved hundreds of lives. He saved this person. I tell to the people, you see how they behave to us?
Yes.
What you would have done to them, you would have dropped a bomb on him because he's a Muslim. He's a terrible. We had to kill him after saving all the Jews. We have to just give him a bullet in his head. No. Mm-hmm. We have to say, thank you, Turkey. The Ottoman Empire was beautiful for us because the Ottoman Empire, since when in Turkey was good for us in Turkey, since they had so many colonies, all the Middle East was colonized by the empire. So all the Jews in the Middle East enjoyed religious rights and economical rights, and their life was beautiful.
Yes.
And I tell them, can you see all these cases? I tell them about my case. I tell them about a lot of the other cases. I tell them about the way how they saved us in the Second World War. You know what they tell me? Wait a second. We have to rethink about it.
Yes.
You're right. I tell them another thing. We live in this neighborhood. The Muslims here, there are a majority in north of London. We are a minority.
Yes.
There's never, ever been an attack on a Jew in north of London.
Yes.
All the minicabs, all the drivers, all the bakers, everyone who works there, constructions are Muslims. They living with us so fairly, nicely. When they need help from us about receiving any license to build, they receive help from the Jews. The Jews never come and says, no, we not agree. Yes. They're expanding here. Oh, it's a danger. Oh, they're going to take over the place. No. And the Muslims also let us to expand. And they never said, oh, the Jew is a Jewish threat.
Yeah.
I tell them, why to destroy all this beautiful history that we had together? Why to come to make a rebellion? Why to steal their land? Why to push them out? Why to expel them? Why to kill them? Why to deny from them medicines? And why to deny from them normal birth in a normal hospital that has to be bombed in Gaza? Why to not allow them to come back to the country? Why to step on their heads? Why to suppress them? Is that going to bring us a bless? The only blessing that will bring us, if we're going to live together, give up this land, give up these tanks, give up these precision-guided missiles who kills innocent Palestinians, we're going to live together beautifully. You would be able to walk in the old city nicely without any disturbances.
Yes.
You're going to be protected by Muslim police. Who needs the Zionist police who walks with guns the whole day looking to kill? Innocent people, mass arrest. They deprive the Palestinians from their basic rights in jails, in Gaza, in Nablus, in Al Khalil, in Jenin, all over the place. Is that going to give us place? This rebellion would be failed, my friend. That's what I tell them. And after they hear me, I said to them, Chaim, you're right. You're not more than right.
Yes.
Because I gave them all these historical facts, which God gave me. I know them. And alhamdulillah, they agree.
Alhamdulillah. Rabbi Beck, what should one say who is pro-Palestinian? I would say pro-life. You know, they have this thing where they say, oh, I'm not pro this, I'm pro-life. Okay, so if you're pro-life, then you're pro-Palestinian. Because from what we see, more lives have been lost in Palestine, more than anywhere else right now. And I haven't seen in my lifetime more children being killed ever than right now. So what would you say to those people? Oh, you're pro-Palestinian. That means you're pro-Hamas. How should one respond to this?
Look, I'm not in the political world, and I don't know political answers, and I answer everything very simple and very straight. Nobody can agree with something what you can see today in the TV, all these killings, all this massacre, and all this genocide. I say for everybody, the Zionists say, we have the right to defend ourselves. But who gives you the right to be there in the first place? You come in on the head of other people, two are the right owners, and then you said, you come out to someone's house, two are the owners, kill half of them, and then you say you have the own rights. They haven't got the rights to defend themselves. They haven't got the rights to be there in the first place. However, what I want to bring out, that wars between people is not a new thing.
Yes.
This is very old. This is old already, nearly 6,000 years by the creation of the world. When you look in the Torah, you can see that the first day the world were created, God created two, Adam and Hava.
Yes.
And they have two children, Cain and Hevel. Start a fight between Cain and Hevel.
Yes.
Since then, since the first day, there is a tradition between the human race to fight, to have wars. But wars have a nature. It have something what it looks like. They have a doctrine. That what you see in Gaza is not a war.
Yes.
This is real genocide.
Outside of
real genocide.
Yeah.
So how people can be in supporting that? How can it be? How you can support genocide? How you can do that? Why not? Please think a minute. Think 1 minute what's going on here. Who create here all the problems? Who brings here all the bloodsheds? What's happened here? There was, like Rabbi Sofar said, there was a brilliant life between Jews and Muslims in Palestine. I told you, I'm already 7 generations there. Yes, my mother, she's already 90. God should give her a long life and a healthy life. But she told me she remember her own, how we used to live with the Palestinian neighbors, such a good relationship. We used to babysit each other, the children. Who destroyed that? Who? The Palestinians? No. The Zionists came on the head, take over the land. That's all. Just think, look, the true facts. What is the problem here? And how can we fix the problem? You can't make a cover-up with genocide after genocide. You have to understand, The state of Israel only brings bloodshed on the world. Our rabbis said that before the creation of the state. They said that if they will build a state, they will only bring a disaster on the world. Yeah. And this is what you can see after 75 years. Look, in these 75 years, there have been built up about 50, 60 countries on the world. New countries came up. Everybody have peace. The only place where there is even no one day of peace. This is the state of Israel. This is the finger of God, because in the Torah it's written. In the reference is Numbers 14, verse 41. Why do you rebel against God? You will not succeed. A rebellion against God cannot be succeed. And this is why they haven't got peace already 75 years. And they will never have peace. Yes. You can't make a cover-up to making more genocide, more occupation, like the settlers doing in the West Bank, and more. Nothing will help. You have to go back to the truth and look the fact. If you come to a doctor and you will tell him, look, it's that infection. Okay, this doctor said, okay, come, let's put a plaster, finish up. Okay, in 5 days the infection will be on the whole hand. Yeah. Yes, of course. You can't make a cover-up. It doesn't work. You have to dig in, look what the problem is, fix it, and then sometimes fixing that is painful. However, but at the end, you will fix the problem on the roots. Yes. The same thing here. The problem should be fixed. The state of Israel should come to an end. This have to be dismantled. Of course, we pray for a peaceful way, and I must add, dismantling the state doesn't mean Jews have to be killed. Jews have to be expelled. No. Yes. Jews can continue living in Palestine like we live in Morocco, like we live in all the Muslim countries, in Iran, in Iraq, in Turkey. Everywhere Jews have a nice life. The same thing can happen in Palestine. 100 people told me, oh, you are dreaming. The state of Israel will come to an end. This will cost millions of lives. It's not true. I gave you the example last time maybe that everybody who remembers the USSR is such a strong power. Yeah. And people think to bring an end to this power, this will cost millions of lives. And no, it didn't cost even one single life. If there is a will, there will be a way. Mm-hmm. And this is really my message to our government in the United Kingdom and the United States and the EU and other governments that are supporting so strongly the state of Israel. I understand why they support the state of Israel. I mean, of course, every time there be reasons, political reasons, it's impossible for a plain person to understand the deepness on politics. However, they see what's happened on the Holocaust for 80 years ago. So many Jews has been killed, and they feel sorry. What can we help Jews? And they want to help Jews. Okay, we build them a country. Yes. Could be that the intention is good, but the deed is completely wrongly. Yes. The state of Israel is not in any way in favor for the Jewish people. Not in any way. Just, I told you again that just look, the plain fact, where is the most danger place for Jews to live today? The state of Israel. Jews living all over the world peacefully. Even in the Muslim countries we live peacefully. The only danger place is Israel. Israel didn't bring any favor, not to speak for Palestinians, for Jews. Yes. They only bring danger. They bring danger, bloodshed after bloodshed, disaster after disaster. When our government in the United States and the EU will understand that the state of Israel is not a help for Jewish people at all. Yes. If you want to help Jewish people, please, if you will spend 10% of the money what you spend to build up Israel, only 10% of this money is spent to bring a peaceful dismantlement, you will succeed. And when there will be, if there will be a will, there will be a way. I'm not a politician. I don't know how. But if there is a will, there is a way. They will find a way. And this is the only solution. You can't make a cover-up. It will not help nothing.
Okay. Now, to wrap it up, I want our rabbi here, Rabbi Sofar, I want you to send a final message to whoever's listening, to whoever's is watching. And in this final message, I want you to touch upon the right to defend yourself. You know, this quote unquote, Israel has the right to defend themselves. And then people in media and broadcasting, I don't want to say the names, they're like, now they're talking about, because they are humans and they are getting worried, oh, they're killing a bit too much. They're talking about proportionate. Is it proportionate that they're killing so many innocent people? Take it away, please, Rabbi.
Since the state of Israel has no right of existence, it's a rebellion against God. Since the state of Israel, based on stealing the land from the Palestinians, expelling them, since it's based on constant massacring and depriving the Palestinians from their basic rights, I would say that they have no right of the self-defense. When I'm saying self-defense, means like not only when they kill old people, women and children, even killing the Palestinian soldiers, they don't have a right to. That's also considered innocent life, because the Palestinian soldiers have the right, the Palestinian people have the right for their own army, they have the right for their own kingdom. State of Israel has no right of existence, has no right of defense. Now, let's go further step. Killing innocent, small children, depriving them from food, milk, medicines, medication, depriving people from receiving their basic services, daily services, bread, water, and all other type of was. In Gaza, there's a one toilet for 500 people. There's no running water till now. Trucks with medicines have been bombed. People getting killed, even people that evacuated from the north of Gaza to the south of Gaza, been bombarded. Innocent people. That's not a right of defense. That's defense. That's atrocities. That's a doctrine of creating massacre, because their policy was supposed to expel the people from Gaza to Sinai, to capture the place and to use the oil reserves that there is on the beach, on the Sea of Gaza, on the coast of Gaza. And I see that it's hand of God that it didn't succeed. They still have a massive resistance in Gaza. And the massacre has succeeded, unfortunately. They succeeded in creating suspicious, to increase suspicions between Muslims and Jews. But alhamdulillah, thank God, that since there's a lot of Jews are stand up and saying, we don't want to be enemies, Jews and Muslims. We want to live together. This obstacle of this genocide, the state of genocide, the state of racism, the state of occupation, which consider themselves that have the right of defense, who creates so much atrocities, destruction for Jews and Muslims, has to be removed. We hope for that to be removed peacefully, without bloodshed for Jews and Muslims, but it has to be reversed. The decision to give a land for this so-called Jews, which are not Jews according to the Jewish law, has to be reversed. The land has to be given back to the Palestinians. They're going to have the jurisdiction, the right of return for all 1948 Palestinians that were explained to them should be given back to their lands, and stop to this bloodshed by bringing peacekeeping force from all over the world to stop, first of all, the massacre, create a permanent ceasefire, and then talking about the solution, permanent solution, by dismantling the state. There's no such thing called self-defense. They don't have the self-defense, means killing innocent people. If we agree on killing innocent people, then we say that they have the right of self-defense. If we agree on stealing, massacring, expelling, then there is the right of self-defense in order to preserve this state. But they stole, they kill, they create animosity, hatred, spreading hatred all over the world between Muslims and Jews, and there was this privilege of self-defense? No way, there's no such thing. They have one right to be dismantled peacefully, giving back the land to the Palestinians, and to get back to the old history of our flourishing, beautiful relations between Jews and Muslims. We're not going to. We have to go. We're going to give up on our bombs. We're going to have to give up on our tanks. We're going to stop killing innocent Palestinians. We're going to give them presents. We're going to give them food. We're going to have a beautiful neighboring Palestinian relations between our neighbors.
Inshallah.
And we're going to bomb them with presents, with nice things, with sugar and hay and bread. That will be our precision-guided bombs to our Muslim neighbors, inshallah. Thank you very much.
I want just to end what he said, that Israel have no right to defend himself. This is 100%, but it doesn't mean in any means that we give the right to kill anybody. No, we don't speak about killing people. When we say Israel have no right to defend itself, it's just how I explain. If there is a fire, if somebody come to put water, but instead of water, you're putting petrol.
Yeah.
What do you say? Please stop. Please, you're just making the fire more and more. This way, what Israel do, this so-called self-defense is putting petrol on the fire.
Yes.
That's what it means. Israel have no right to defend themselves. That means that we don't justify any killing from anyone. No, and we not justify any bloodshed. We don't want any bloodshed. We just say the two facts, that the state of Israel have no right to exist. As I told us, he told us, I told you, that who gives them the right to be there in the first place, and the state of Israel should come to an end, and we hope and pray for a peaceful end. But they will come to an end 100%. I'm not a politician, I say that from the religious point of view. As I told you, it's written in the Torah, Israel will come to an end. We hope and pray for a peaceful end soon in our days.
Inshallah. And I want to say Jazakumullah khairan. I want to commend you for your work. You know, when we see your organization, when we see Jewish people, Orthodox Jews, joining us in our marches, we feel a sense of pride that we're not alone. This is coming from someone who didn't have knowledge that you are more Palestinian than anyone there if they were Palestinian. We are marching because, one, we don't want to see innocent people being killed. Two, that it hurts us that they are brothers and sisters because the Islamic Ummah is one. Three, because we're humans, right? And when we see Jewish people joining us, Jewish, Christian, whatever it is, but especially Jews, because there is this misconception that we hate the Jewish, that it's a Jewish problem. But when you come together, we are so proud. And for that, I just want to say thank you very much.
You're welcome. More than welcome.
May it be not just an anomaly, may it be the brethren between Muslims and Jews. Let it flourish, inshallah, bi'idhnillah. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.